it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again today. So today I have got this card, and this is almost a bit of a cheat because it's Case the Catalogue Fortnight. So over the next 2 weeks I am going to go through the annual catalogue that is about to retire. It's with us until the 3rd of July, no, June, 3rd of June. But it's a great source for inspiration. So I am going to be going through this catalogue, not page by page, but you know. So I'm looking at the Enjoy Life stamp set today, which was a $100 or 100 CSV as far as the UK is concerned, but $100 stamp set. It's carrying over to the new annual catalogue, which is fantastic because I love it. I made my onstage Florida swaps with this stamp set. I made something like 150, so quite a few. So I love this set, absolutely love it. It's been well used. So the card I'm making is this one. I've already given you a sneak peek, and do you know what? I'm not really even casing it. I'm almost doing a straight lift. But there's nothing wrong with that. The thing with casing is that so long as you credit where you got the idea from, why not? So I've done a bit of a guess on the colours. I'm using powder pink as much as anything because it's a colour I love, and we've only got it until the 3rd of June. Or while stocks last. So if you like this pink, it's a really lovely, what I would call baby pink. In fact, I used it on the baby card I did last week. If you like this pink, now is the moment to stock up. So let's get going. I'm doing something slightly different this time, something I don't normally do. I'm using StazOn, which is a bit scary for me, so bear with me. I've just managed to stick my Stamparatus to my guillotine, which wasn't clever. So one of the magnets stuck rather than the Stamparatus itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a piece of shimmer white card. This happens to be cut at, I can't remember, at, let me grab a ruler, 10 centimetres by, it was 11, and I cut it long because I want to be able to trim it down. So it's 10 centimetres wide and a bit longer than your card base. This is a standard international A6 card base, so it's a piece of A5 card, well, it's A4 card cut in half, scored down the middle, and then folded to make the card base. So simple as that, just broken a nail, which is never a good idea, but there we go. So let's get started. I'm going to start by doing my black stamping, and as I say, I'm going to use StazOn. I never use StazOn. Part of the reason I don't use StazOn is because I'm always a little worried on, particularly with photopolymer stamps, that it's not going to kill the stamp. But I'm going for it. We've got Stamp Cleaner, stamping the Stamp Mist, which is actually very good at cleaning up your stamps. So, and particularly if you then put some Versamark ink on it and clean it off again, that helps, because Versamark is actually quite good at conditioning your stamp. So I've got my piece of shimmery white. I've put in the foam pad that comes with your Stamparatus because we're using photopolymer. I've also put on a piece of grid paper because we're going to over stamp. And I've put this slightly up from the bottom of the piece of card, purely because I know I'm going to trim it down. So, StazOn clean ink, and this is, what do they call it? Jet black. StazOn ink. And then stamp it down. Now, one of the reasons I am using the Stamparatus is because if you do have a problem getting your stamp, your impression completely black, I've got a little bit there that I'm going to try and re-stamp, you get a second go. So I'm just going to ink up that little bit in the middle This probably needs re-inking, as in my ink pad probably needs some more ink, but hopefully it'll be all right for the moment. And then we can just stamp again. Now, photopolymer does tend to pull the card up from the base, but that's fine. So I'm then going to come across and just gauge where that needs to be to then overlap. There, probably. Yep, that will do. Ink up again, and I tend to do a bit of a sort of turn on my ink pad rather than just going tapping. I'll try, do a proper turn and then tap, and you can see if you've got a good cover. And then stamp again. Perfect! Now, the first thing I'm going to do is just clean it with a baby wipe. They do have a bit of alcohol in them, which does help clean. So that does help start to get the colour off a bit. You probably won't ever get all of the black off, but it's a good place to start. So that's that. I'm then going to bring in my lady and move that and pop my lady down, because it's going to be easier to pop my lady down and then put the flowers. So we'll pick her up again and then just pop everything back. Ink up the stamp. Get a really good cover, and then press down. Now with solid stamps you really do need to give them a good press. And there she is. Perfect. And again, get the worst off with a baby wipe, and you can see that that's actually lifting off, or maybe you can see that's actually lifting off reasonably well. And I will do a proper clean up with stamp cleaner and all that good stuff once we've finished. And then finally, lastly but not leastly, we've got our little flowers to go down in the corner here. And again, just pick those up and ink up and stamp, and there we go. So that is all our stays on. So we'll pop those to one side. Now I am going to be using the Stamparatus again in a moment, but I now want to do some watercolour on this, which of course I can do because using stays on means that my background is waterproof. This is just so that I've got it ready for drying. Now, just a little tip. I keep the lid, there's this lid, plastic bit that goes on top of your ink pad. I attach it to the top of my ink pad lid with some bits of dimensional, and that means that when you put the lid on, it's automatically in place. It just means you don't have to remember. Always a plan, particularly if you're me. Right. Grid paper. Someone said, is this my first sheet of floral grid paper? And it is. It's beginning to get a little bit dirty, but it's my first piece and I'm trying desperately to keep it clean because I am that sad. So, aqua painter, and I'm going to do the sunsetty, sunrisey, don't know which it is really, E1. That is the eye block, which I'm going to use as my palette. So I'm going to pop a little bit of powder pink, and I mean a little bit of powder pink, a tiny, tiny, weeny, little tiny bit of Coastal Cabana, because it's actually quite a strong colour, and then some Mango Melody. And I'm going to have a piece of kitchen paper ready to clean off between colours. So I'm actually going to go from the bottom to the top. Last time I went the other way around, but I'm going to go bottom top. Get a good pool of your colour and then just sweep across, and it's as simple as that. So that's our first colour. I might bring it down a wee bit, because while it's still wet I can. And then come into our Calypso Coral, add some more water. And go over the top. And then bring in some from the top down. Maybe a bit more. And then finally, some of our powder pink. And there we go. This is actually a much lighter version than the previous one, but they're all going to be different. It's just going to depend on exactly how big your dot of re-inker is and exactly how much water you add. I'm going to just lift off some of the worst areas for wetness. And then I'm going to apologise for the noise that I'm about to make, because it's time to dry. So I'm going to just clip that underneath the bottom, and this is one occasion where you don't have to heat up your heat tool, you can just blast. And I'm just going to do this to get the worst off, and then we'll do the rest of the card whilst this finally dries. Let's do the back as well. Sorry about the noise. Ooh, I like that a lot. I think I prefer that to my original. Right, turn that noise off and pop that to one side. Oh, I do like that. You can see it's a lot softer than the original version, particularly with the Calypso Coral. So pop that to one side and bring in our card base. So let me just, I scored these together and I just want to make sure I get them, because one edge is slightly longer than the other for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, because I measured them very carefully. Right, okay, so powder pink. This is for our background. And we just need to stamp this a couple of times and then I'll do the sentiment. So we're going to go off the edge on this side and off the edge on this side. So this is powder pink on powder pink, which is very pretty. Don't need that for anything else. Pop that to one side. Now I've got a scrap of shimmer white, and I do mean a scrap. It's a non-determinate size, otherwise known as. So I'm going to pop this down. I'm going to put it in the middle, which is going to sound odd, but you get a much better stamp if you come away from the hinge, particularly if you've got a more solid image. And as what I want to do is stamp my sentiment, it is in effect a solid image. So I'm just going to line everything up. It would be great if my card was straight. And then I can line my sentiment up against my card. There we go. Pick that up. Make sure it's properly down, and then let's bring this over so you can see it fully. Pop a block under there. I've got Poppy Parade to just ink this up. And stamp. Right, so I need to stamp again, because it's not quite taken down here. There's ink left on the stamp, so that's fine. We can just give it another go. That's better. That is the joy of the Stamparatus, because what it means is you can keep going until you've got exactly what you want, and you know it's going to be in the right place. Now I've cut a chamois in half because it's exactly the right sort of size for cleaning your stamps once they're on a Stamparatus. So, where are we time-wise? 15 minutes, for crying out loud. This is ridiculously long. It's not a long card. Right, or I should say it's not a difficult card. Apparently it is a long card. Okay, so having stamped that, let's bring in our trimmer, which is going. I'm going to miss it. I like my trimmer. And just trim this down. And I'm literally just trimming it down to the size it needs to be. So this again is not measured. It's about 1.5 inches or about 4 centimetres, but it's one of those it's about. So it is a nothing in particular size. Now, tailored tag is brilliant for doing flag ends on smaller pieces of card. You just make sure that that is straight and sort of square and sort of in the middle. Punch, and you've got a lovely flag. How great is that? So, time to put everything together. We have our card base, which I'm now going to fold. And I know I've got my, there it is, buried, burnish. So, first things first, we need to stick this on here so that it is sort of central. So, I'm going to use Tombow liquid adhesive. I am told it's coming back into stock soon. When soon is going to be exactly, I'm not sure, but there are about 7,000 coming into stock, so hopefully soon. Now I am putting more glue on than I would normally do, purely because it is slightly warped, and just come down to the bottom, and I'm doing this kind of by eye. It's not vital that it's absolutely square. It's near enough square, as in near enough square on itself. And then turn over and press very well. This is the bit that really matters. Okay, because that's the bit that's going to hold it down. Now, if you've got time, what I would suggest you do is get a large block and pop that on top. Ideally, a larger block than this. So you probably want the really large block, the wood mount block. But we don't have lots of time, so we won't. I'm just going to press it as well as I can. There we go. And from the back, I'm going to trim the excess of the shimmer white. And the reason I do this is because it's much easier to get a straight edge here by doing that. And as you can see, I've taken a tiny weeny bit of the StazOn off because I knew it was going, so there we are. Right, rose thread. Now I can't remember if this is carrying over. I'll have a look in a minute and let you know. Will that come off without help? Let's give it help. What I can tell you is this is not carrying over. The piercing tool is not. We've got the take your pick, but if you like the piercing tool, get it now. Now I'm going to do 4 fingers, and I'm going to go round quite a lot because I want quite a lot of thread. Oops, I've now caught my ring. This is one of those more is more. Just catch the end, cut it, and grab some snail, and you want it kind of there, and then try and get your ends so that they're coming towards the middle. It's not vital because you can always sort them out later, and then you're putting it at a jaunty angle, and bring your end in if it's run away, and then you can spread them out a wee bit so that it's a little less formal. It's not a problem if it is formal. And then grab some And I am going to use more than I would normally use, purely because I want to continue to trap the thread. 4 would be fine, 3 would probably have done, but I'm going for 5 because I want to make sure that I've really trapped that thread. And then just pop that kind of there. And then, nearly done, grabbing some of the faceted, what do they call themselves? Faceted dots. Piercing tool. And we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're done. Simple as that. So there's my original. I say my original, it's not my original at all. It is from the catalogue. Page 59 of your current annual catalogue. And this is an almost exact copy of this. So that is what is called casing. I'm going to be doing more of that during the next fortnight, so I hope you enjoy that. As I say, it's just a way of getting inspiration. This one I did without the Stamparatus, and you can see that the inking is not quite as good. So definitely Stamparatus is best. Thank you very much indeed for watching. If you want any more information, some close-up photos, all that good stuff, there's a link to my blog post immediately below. I'm going to list all of the items that I've used in the blog post and in the description bar below, because I think it may be helpful for you. So if you're in the UK and you would like any of these items, do please, I would be so grateful if you would shop with me. It really helps me bring these videos. I am going to start, I'm planning probably to go live with this come the new catalogue, doing tutorials that are bundled together that you can buy from me. So whether you're in the UK or overseas, you'll be able to buy the tutorials, and if you're in the UK, you'll be able to buy the card kits to go with them. So that will all be pre-prepped for you, and then you can just do it. It's like going to be like a lesson to go. So, and there'll be videos and all that good stuff to go with. So I hope you will find that interesting. And it'd be great to hear if that's something that you would enjoy seeing from me. So do please leave a comment. In the meantime, if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Any comments, always welcome. I do eventually get round to replying. I was on a course last week, so it has taken me a wee while to catch up, but I am at the point of recording this, now up to date with all the comments from previous YouTube videos. So yeah, thank you very much indeed, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!